Okay, this is episode 4 of the XO Podshow. And you know what? I feel like I've kind of worked out the kinks enough, at least, to have my good friends Dave and Ashley Willis on the XO Podshow. And I want to spend just a little bit of time, because most people don't really understand what the XO Podshow is all about. Because, I mean, it's not the number one marriage podcast in America. That's what you guys have.
Yet, but, you know, you're well on your way. You're
on the way.
But this is an opportunity to have a little bit more in-depth conversations, spend a little bit more time talking through some maybe off-topic, off the beaten path issues that are going on in the world. And we can talk about marriage all day long. And there's a lot of podcasts out there that do that. Real Marriage with Mark and Grace Driscoll, Marriage Today with My Parents, Naked Marriage with Dave and Ashley Willis. So this is an opportunity for us to get to know the people behind sometimes the microphone, or just the people that are part of the XO community, or just interesting people in general. So the first 3 episodes, in fact, the first episode was Chris and Paulette Monroe,
dear friends,
who came from the XO Pod Show to the Naked Marriage podcast, and that was great. It was an awesome opportunity to talk to them. But even within an hour, our show was an hour that day, I didn't feel like I got enough time to talk about everything with them. I didn't get into the whole Nike side of what Chris does, and really didn't get into a lot of the background of Paulette's fitness. I mean, it was just, you can just touch on certain things. Yeah. So this is an opportunity to get to know Dave and Ashley Willis from a different angle, and a fun angle, and get to know sort of just some things that y'all might not have an opportunity to talk about on your program. Or, I mean, y'all are always on social media. I mean, y'all do a great job.
Well, Ashley is so good at it. Like,
no, it takes both of us for sure.
I don't even realize I'm on some of the time when I'm on. Like, I'll just be sleeping and she'll be holding the phone over my. No, but she's good at staying engaged.
So I was enjoying the Insta story of the Bucees trip.
Yes.
And I don't laugh out loud by myself very often, but I was laughing out loud.
He turned me. Like, I was not a Bucees fan, and I left a Beaver believer. So
she was kind of a snob about. I mean, and she's not a snob about many things. She's very willing to try new things. She's, you know, she'll roll up her sleeves and try whatever. But there was something about Bucees that she just convinced herself, like, that's not for me.
It's not my place.
I'm a little bit above Bucees.
I've never stepped foot to a Bucees.
No,
and there's one like 10 minutes from my house.
Well, you're missing out because
it's an experience.
There's never been more snacks of more shapes and sizes, and more people of more shapes and sizes.
That is true.
Than you will see in a Bucees. It's like if Disney World and a flea market had a baby.
But it kept
be.
it really
and Walmart
clean.
grew it. Walmart raised the baby.
And Walmart raised the baby and turned it into a gas station. You'd have Bucees, and it's glorious.
I think it is one of those things, like Ashley probably feels. It's like, if everyone's going there, I'll just go to the Exxon next door, which is going to be less people, same gas.
Yes.
Well, to give context, because this is a semi-regional thing, I'm learning. So, like, if you're listening internationally or in some parts of the U.S., you're like, what is Bucees? Okay. Bucees is not yet a sponsor of the XO Pod Show.
Not yet.
They should be.
They should be.
But it is a huge gas station chain that has, it's like this massive store inside with all kinds of different foods.
It's more than a convenience store.
It's much more than a convenience store.
It's got gifts. Like, I could buy
it's not a truck stop,
presents.
because semi-trucks are not allowed, which is part of their unique model. It's just all regular
You wouldn't
cars.
think that, because it's packed. I mean, there's people and cars everywhere.
Yes.
That's probably one of the deterrents for me is every time I drive by there, it feels like it's a Costco on a Saturday morning. It just feels like it's packed.
It's kind of Costco-esque.
Mm-hmm.
So
it is.
Well, it was a funny Insta
I'm just
story.
glad you liked
I enjoyed it.
So yeah, we're at Dave and Ashley Willis on Instagram if you want to follow along with marriage adventures and random gas station stops and everything in between.
Same on TikTok. That's where that video is too.
TikTok. Uh-oh.
That's where all the kids are.
That's where all the kids are. No, we've had a busy spring. I mean, we've had a really busy spring. And just this last weekend, y'all were in Birmingham, Alabama, doing Church of the Highlands. Mm-hmm. So talk a little bit about the experience there. That was the Church of the Highlands conference, marriage conference, for those who are not aware of it. It's kind of like the XO Marriage Conference, except it's just typically one speaker. So y'all had the whole time and all the sessions. So talk about what happened last weekend. How was it?
I loved it. I mean, kind of like your pod show, the XO Pod Show. It's kind of more long form in terms of the sessions, because it was just us, like you said. So we got to really kind of dive in and unpack stuff. And so it was a total of like over 3 hours of talking over a Friday night and Saturday for us to really unpack things and make a deep connection with folks. And it felt it felt meaningful to us. We love that church. We love all the churches where the XO marriage tour goes, and then Highlands doing their own event. They're just a really special place. They're some of the best hosts ever. If you're listening from any of the Church of the Highlands campuses, guys, thank you for just everything you do. They're just an extraordinary church. We had a great time.
We did. They're just so encouraging. I mean, the entire staff, and it's really all hands on deck. And they kind of every year have this marriage conference, and it's just really cool. So we were there with your dad, a couple years ago, and it was so much fun. Yeah, in 2020, and really like right before everything shut down.
It was.
And so it was a really, I remember that conference, and we had several people come up and say, they had come to that conference maybe reluctantly, thinking like their marriage wasn't going to make it. And then here they are 2 years later. And I mean, several times they were like, oh my gosh, we just wanted to let you know how much, whatever it was that really, God used to kind of move in their marriage made such an impact. And here they were again, and they were just glowing. You could see the joy on their faces. So we love that. And we did 2 meet and greets at this, and it was just fun to get to meet people. One thing that really surprised me about this particular event was the amount of engaged couples and seriously dating couples. So that was really cool. Because,
interesting. Did they promote it to those groups of people at the church?
I would think they do, but I did have, there was another couple in the line. They were like, man, out of all the years, I don't even know how many years they've been doing it, but they said this year there is like a notable amount of engaged and seriously dating couples,
That's awesome.
Which I thought was really cool. Yeah.
Did people put that off during the pandemic? Were they just now kind of getting back into the gear of thinking about marriage?
I had not thought of it that way.
Maybe that's it, Brent.
I think that might be it. Yeah. I mean, people did get married during the pandemic, of course, but maybe some of these folks had kind of planned it out to do it later, or
that might be it, because it was. I noticed that too, but it was exciting because it's a great way to start your marriage. So.
Did they do vow renewal at the end?
We did. It wasn't totally a vow renewal. We like to call it a marriage
hey, listen, hold on. XO is the signature vow renewal.
Yes.
Nobody can copy that.
That's so true.
No, nobody
can
copy that. So what we did to make them come to XO for like the legit full Jimmy and Karen Evans vow renewal, which once you do the Jimmy and Karen Evans vow renewal, it's like you're almost guaranteed to never get divorced after that, because there's just, I mean,
I won't legally offer that.
We can't legally say that, but
I will definitely spiritually offer that.
Spiritually, for sure. I mean, I've walked through that with Jimmy and Karen multiple times, and I'm telling you, like every time, it's like I'm misty-eyed, and there's something so powerful in that moment. So we didn't try to do that moment. We did like what did we call it?
A marriage declaration.
Where they would stand and look at each other, and instead of exchanging vows again, we had them repeat at the same time, like 4 statements that I would gladly choose you all over again. I'll work to make our future even better than our past. I promise to make Christ the foundation of it all, and I pledge to love you with my whole heart forever, for the rest of our lives, and then they kissed. So it was kind of like our, it wasn't the vow renewal, but it was a special way to end.
Commitment.
To mark the moment.
It's like when Joel Osteen on Sunday morning gets up and says, everybody hold up their Bible.
This is my Bible.
This is my wedding ring.
Yes.
I am what it says I am. You do what it says I can do.
It's it's one of his signature things that he does. If you go to Lakewood, you got to do it. Well, I want to spend some time talking about the XO ministry that y'all are part of. Y'all been here for 5 years now. 2017, I think was.
And we love it.
We do. We
love it. But the beginning, the middle, and now where we are now is a lot of people are now following you guys. I mean, just know who you are, your message. I am just like with my parents, they were on TV, right? And so there's this one-way kind of communication. But then you see all these people show up, and they're like, "I love you guys. I love watching you. I love your TV show." But now for you, I'm watching the same thing happen with the Naked Marriage podcast. People are showing up, or if you even read the reviews, people are saying, "I just stumbled across the podcast and I'm binging every episode." And the people show up at the conferences, and a lot of times back in the day, people were finding the conferences through the TV show, through our email list. Now they're finding them through the podcast and through you guys' channel. So talk about the just that time spent in XO, what it's meant for you guys in terms of marriage ministry. How do you feel about it now and the future? And I found you guys through an email. Dave was wearing a vest.
That's right. I'm bringing it back.
You wrote for Pathos. Both of you wrote for Pathos. I guess every week or whatever it was. And there was a Dave email going out.
Yep.
I stumbled across it, and that's kind of how we found each other. It was just through the content that y'all were producing. But now, fast forward all these years, and our kids are older, and we've got a lot of tread on the tires that has been worn down through the marriage ministry. Talk about how y'all feel about everything.
Man, where to start?
I know.
We still kind of pinch ourselves that we get to be part of this adventure with XO. We really do. Like, it's an incredible team here. It's an incredible culture that you've created, and just to see the life change that's happening, I can't imagine more fulfilling work. Like, that we get to do this and be part of it is
Right.
like just one of the most deeply gratifying parts of our lives, and to get to meet folks. At the XO events, we try to always do a meet and greet, and folks will come and give us a hug, and to hear their stories and to hear how this ministry has helped take them from where they were to where they are, from
Right.
maybe feeling like their marriage wasn't going to make it to now thriving, or maybe they didn't even know Jesus at all. And this ministry, just reaching out for marriage help, ultimately introduced them into a relationship with Christ. And so this doesn't just have a lifelong impact in their life, but now this ministry's had an eternal impact in their life, and it's just moving. Like, I mean, it's really moving. And for us, it's the most exciting time in ministry that we've ever been part of, with, the headquarters being built now here in Southlake, Texas, the marriage capital of the world.
Yes.
You all come visit, because it's just, I'm telling you, as soon as you get within the city limits, your marriage feels stronger because the XO influence. And the events happening again, seeing the enthusiasm of folks coming to live events, it's an electric time in the ministry. And of course, getting to do it side by side with the love of my life, who is just awesome, is a real gift.
You're so silly.
Well,
Yes.
I want to ask this to you, Ashley, because one of the things that's unique about the two of you is y'all speak very well together. Like, y'all do a good job of, it's like a volleying match. You have the ball, and then you hit it back to each other, and you wait till the other person hits it back to you. That's the way it should be on stage, in an environment where you have a conference. You can't be talking all over one another. You'll do a great job of that. Is that something that y'all practice? Is it something? I mean, it's almost, y'all had a drama, like a background in college. It's almost like y'all took those pieces and applied them on stage. So talk about how you work up your sessions, how you work up your content.
Yes. No, we love that. Yeah, we actually, just to give a little background on us, we met in acting 1 class, and we actually took acting 2 class together as well.
All right, so we're basically pros.
I mean, come on.
Acting 2 pushed us over the top.
That's right. No, as part of our major, we majored in communication arts. And so we did get a little of that practice. We both have been, we've been in plays and stuff like that, and done a lot of public speaking over the years. Dave actually has been a professor of public speaking. So we have that background, but it's one thing to speak by yourself, but it's an entirely different thing to speak with someone else, no matter how much you love them. And so you have to practice, and you have to understand the flow, and also within the time limit. You have to really know, like, what exactly are we wanting to say here. We have to be very specific within a limited amount of time. And so we practice. I mean, we try to run through it, I would say, at least 5 times.
So how do you get through it without him making you laugh the whole time?
Oh, he makes me laugh.
He's cutting up the
Honestly,
whole time.
well, one of our practices.
She gets mad at me. I'll say, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but
No, go ahead.
I want to hear what you. I'm just like that. That's a tension that because like I want to just be silly too much, and
He does.
and without her there to ground me, like it would just be like really bad cheesy stand-up comedy probably.
That's not
But with
true.
her, like she is the one that really like is the heart of the content and the meat. And I'm always like, we got to have something funny here. We got to do something funny here. And she'll be like, we're not just clowns up there. And
We're
I'm
not
like,
jesters.
so we live in that tension. She's like, we're serious.
I
And
don't
I'm
say it
"Yeah,
like
I
that."
know, that's not all. I'm sorry.
But
It's
I
a
do
terrible
look at you.
impression because that is not at all how you talk.
It was
You're-
totally accurate.
You're
That was one of
lovely
it.
and brilliant.
exactly it.
But it's just me trying to be silly again. And
Yes.
so you keep me grounded and remind me that like it's all about it's all about leading people to moments that are going to be impactful for
Yes.
them. And I try to use humor to help get people there, but really like I can very easily get off the rails. And she is the one who wisely embraces the moment and the humor. She's got an awesome sense of humor that brings us back to where there's going to be a real moment. And she is a master at creating those moments.
It takes both of us, though. Like, I think between the two of us, we balance each other. But, I mean, David's been a pastor for many years, so he's used to having all that time. And you always put in, like, very heartfelt moments. You have a lot of meat in your messages. But I do think, whenever we start a message. We know kind of, we usually pray about it, and we usually know kind of what subject matter we're going to be speaking on. But then we plan it out through walks. Like we go on long walks nearly every day, and we talk through stuff. And then Dave actually focuses on what funny stories do we want to share this year, and can they fit here? And I'm the one where he's like, I can make a funny story fit anywhere. And I'm like, I literally am that audience member where if someone doesn't make it work, and there's no segue, there's nothing, I'm cringing inside.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I am. And I'm just like, oh,
it's uncomfortable
make it
for
work.
everyone
Give
in
me
the
a
audience.
segue.
It is.
It is. It just makes
Yeah.
me cringe. And so Dave's like, you don't have to have a segue. And I'm like, we got to have something
I
to
know that
make
you
this,
do.
you know.
I'm just trying to lobby for, for the funny stories.
Well, I think there's some where if they're just like an outlier, they can stand on their own. But we hash through that. Like what, where does it need some like reprieve? Like we need to give people a little place to laugh and give it, some levity. But then we want to make sure, the whole point of us speaking there is to help people.
Yeah,
and
minister to marriages. Yeah.
Exactly. And so we're like, what is the main thing we're trying to say? How can we demonstrate it in some way? Like this year we used some props. We don't always use props, but we just thought, it's been a little bit since we used a visual a visual prop. And so we did that, and we just kind of talked through that. And then when you are using some kind of prop on stage, you have to practice because it may not work. You have to, especially with two people, you have to know, how am I walking around this, and where are we crossing each other? Where are we going to stand? And not, with us, we really try to practice to where we can present this in a way that's not distracting, that really gets to the heart of it. But we also try to leave enough room to where if we're feeling the Holy Spirit, leading us to camp out on something, then we have that room.
Yeah.
And that is a hard balance, but we really try to do that.
And we try to make adjustments too as we go, because like even this year we did XO Grapevine first, which was an amazing event.
Amazing.
One of the most fun events that we've done. And thank you to Fellowship Church, incredible hosts. And our second talk there, where we had the 4 chairs on stage, I went through, like I was supposed to do like a quick overview of all 4 of the chairs representing these 4 seasons of sex. Beach, babies, busy, broken, and like just do a quick overview, and then we were going to go back and talk to him. But as I was giving the overview, like I got a little long-winded with each one, and there was kind of a long, awkward for us time of like me talking too much, and we try to really be mindful of that, because if one of us is talking too long, then it just kind of creates, an awkward tension, and we want to have it back and forth. So
You have a safe word?
Safe word, yeah, Philadelphia. So we,
Philadelphia.
so we.
That reminds me, Dave, that time we were in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I'll be listening for that.
So if you hear that on stage, you'll know. But we kind of had like a post-game review, and we're talking through it, and I realized that I'd done that, and it kind of thrown off the flow.
So you do watch the video back. You watch it, and you kind of go through.
We watch the video back, but even in real time, like how did that feel?
Like we always afterwards.
And then we talked through that part. And so the next time we did it in Houston at Grace Church, another great church. We love you guys. Thanks for being such amazing hosts. And we made those modifications. And to a person just watching, it would be subtle, but hopefully subtle. But to us, like we try to give a lot of thought to those details and how the back and forth is going in particular.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What I love about the conferences is that people don't see this always, because it just feels like the speakers are coming out and they're all really, really good, but behind the scenes we're all friends. There's such a great camaraderie behind the scenes, and y'all have done a great job of building those relationships over the years with so many of not just the pastors and the hosts, but with the attendees and the people speaking. Like Dan Leanne, he lives 2 hours from you guys, and y'all go spend time with him. Yep. And I love that that's part of the culture of our conferences and of XO. And if you're listening to this and not watching, Dave and Ashley touch each other a lot. They're very much in love. There's a lot of touching and holding, and which leads me to something that I feel like we're on the cusp of a new trend that y'all are starting, the second honeymoon.
Yes. Yes.
We are all about any kind of
and third and
travel.
Fourth and fifth and
Stephanie mentioned that last night. It's something that a lot of couples I think can identify with, of having an opportunity. Because first honeymoon, Maggie, who's in here, part of the XO team, she just had a honeymoon.
Maggie is awesome, our favorite newlywed.
She's too close to her honeymoon. My honeymoon was 22 years ago. No, wait, 24 years ago. Sorry, Stephanie. 24 years and 3 weeks. So the idea, we went to Jamaica.
Oh yeah,
nice.
Not so great. You land in Jamaica, you drive through squalor, really depressing drive. Well, first of all, I got off the flight. I go straight, to the bathroom after the flight, and a guy's offering me You want some ganja, man?
Yeah.
Whatever. I can't do a Jamaican accent.
Hey man,
Hey,
welcome
man.
to Jamaica.
Hey, man. You
You
want some
want to
jerk
feel
chicken,
good?
man?
They do have great accents.
They do. Yeah.
So he's offered me weed in the bathroom right when I get off the flight.
Mm-hmm.
And
Sounds like my middle school.
That is not. I'm telling you, that is not true.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't my. No.
And then we get on this bus that takes us to the resort. It's an all-inclusive place. You got to think this was in 1998,
Mm-hmm.
and Stephanie had no money, and we had found this place through a travel agency in Amarillo, Texas. It was called Siboney, and it was an all-inclusive resort. And we get there, and it rains every day we're there.
Oh,
Like
man.
no time outside. And the only time we went outside, it kind of eased up and went to the beach. And another guy came up on a boat and offered us more weed.
They really are pushing
So-
that weed, aren't they?
And this other guy
Yeah.
that was next to us said, what that guy will do is he'll sell you weed and he'll go tell the cops and get money from the cops because it'll all do like a full circle
Goodness.
thing. So the
Yeah.
cop will bust you and then you'll have to pay the cop to get off. Anyway, it was my honeymoon and it was great, but also I'd love to do it again. So second honeymoon sounds nice, but some people
Yes.
aren't intentional about that. So the
Yeah.
intentionality of saying, like last year I went to Costa Rica
Mhm.
and said this is kind of our rejuvenation of the marriage in our
Yeah.
second honeymoon. Is that right? I mean, talk.
Man.
It was so nice. Oh,
We
my
are all
goodness.
about like early on. Like we decided we want to be rich in experiences because I saw a T-shirt one time that spoke to me. It said, "Travel's the only thing you can buy that makes you richer."
Mhm.
And I would argue like stocks and bonds and real estate also would make you richer. but like the point of it was it's like an investment that you make and it helps to just enrich your overall life. And so we'd not traveled a lot growing up. Like, our families
Not really.
just didn't have have the means or maybe the priority for that. It wasn't their experience. We had wonderful childhoods. We didn't want for anything, but we didn't have a lot of those experiences. And so we were broke as could be when we started out in our marriage. We were like, let's figure out a way to travel. Let's see things and experience things. And so we've tried to do that. And it even kind of translates over into, we don't give each other big gifts. For instance, right now, I don't know if you could see, I'm going to show him your ring. So right now, Ashley's wearing this, what looks to be like a Kim Kardashian
Yeah. It's,
Kim's
$50,000
would be
The
way
boat's
bigger.
blinding.
diamond. This is a $50 Amazon.com cubic zirconia.
wow.
So
Gold plate over
Now-
silver.
she had a real
Yes.
diamond at one time, not nearly that big. It was very small, very modest. I bought it when I was in college, worked hard for it, put it on layaway, and she wore it proudly. But then it popped out of her ring.
He went to Jared.
He went to
Yeah.
no, I went to like it wasn't Jared's. It was like Bobby's, or something.
Carl's.
Carl's pawn shop.
Carl's
No,
Carrots.
It wasn't a pawn shop. It was an actual
Carl's carrots. That's the one.
Carl's Carrots.
That's the one.
Yeah, Carl's
yes.
Carrots. Yeah. So
That place probably exists somewhere.
It
probably
probably.
With a
does.
K and-
I love it.
yeah, they say you ring if you buy the ring and they're like, "Hey man, would you like to buy something else?" So I bought her the ring and she loved it. And about 6 months ago, the ring popped out. We got it fixed, put it back in.
New prongs and everything.
New prongs and everything. Well, a
Yeah.
couple months later, it popped out again, and this time we couldn't find it. I think our robot vacuum, that just sweeping through the house, had eaten it up. At some point, it had gotten thrown away. We could not find it, and so I'm like, "Oh, I got to get you another ring," but I'm like, "I don't have the money to get you something really nice, and we could wait." And she's like, "I'll just get like a placeholder thing." And so she bought this thing on Amazon and got way more compliments
Oh, sure.
by far
Yeah.
than
I
the real
do.
ring that I had slaved to get her. And she's like, and now I don't worry about it because if I lose it, no big deal. If it gets hurt, no big deal. I'm like, well, I'll get you a new diamond eventually. Not that big, but something. And she's like, I'm not really worried about it.
Not
She said,
gonna be
I'd rather
that.
have
Lower your
experience."
expectations, Ash.
Don't
So-
get too excited.
So in other words, she's happy. She's happy with a less expensive ring, but a really nice trip together. And so
Yes.
last year we went to Costa Rica, and it was awesome. And even that wasn't that expensive.
Mm-mm.
It was a couple-hour flight. Not super expensive when we got there, but a gorgeous country. And for us, when we
Sweet
get to a new
people.
place like
Nobody
that,
offered him pot right out of the gate.
yeah,
Sweet.
It was great.
it was really nice.
Yeah.
Second honeymoon. We're gonna incorporate that somehow.
Yeah. Well, there's
into-
a Naked Marriage podcast episode called
We have
Second
a whole
Honeymoon. You can
episode.
check out. Yeah.
Yes.
It's brand new. Okay, so people don't always know that you guys live in two places.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of. I mean, y'all's home is Augusta,
Mhm.
Georgia, Evans, Georgia, that area. But y'all do come here once a month, spend some time, record the podcast. You've got 2 states under your belt, which is great.
I still have my Texas driver's license, so I feel like it's official. I've got two residences.
Yeah.
Yes.
And is that back and forth? Is that I mean, you don't have to tell me on camera. Is it manageable? You guys feel good about that this season of life? Because you have 4 boys.
Mm-hmm.
It is busy. So speak to how you guys keep the energy level up. Is there a vitamin IV going on most of the time?
You know, honestly, it's been really good. I mean, I think the kids, we've gotten into a routine where they expect it. And I mean, a huge key ingredient is our nanny, Kara. Like, she's our overnight nanny. We don't, our kids are all school age. We don't have to have a nanny during the week. This is just someone who comes in when we have to go overnight.
She doesn't like live with us or anything.
She didn't live with us or anything.
Does your oldest help?
They help.
He can help, yes, and he drives now, but he's not really old enough to take care of all the kids.
Sure.
I mean, he thinks he is. He's mentioned this, and I'm like, that is crazy. But anyway, Kara's awesome. She's 30 years old, married to a military doctor, and they don't have kids of their own yet. And about 5 years ago, when we signed on with XO, we were doing more travel, and one of our friends encouraged us. She kind of had, she travels and speaks as well, and she's like, you need to get that point person. You need to pray about a person that is your main nanny that you can depend on. And we prayed about it, and we came with the same, we're like, maybe that Kara girl that we met, that our neighbor introduced us to. And sure enough, Kara was so excited about it. And so she, her whole job is, and it's a weird schedule, but she's ready monthly. She does this, she comes, watches our kids in Georgia while we come to Texas for a couple days. And then when we do our speaking engagements, she comes in as well. And it's been a huge
she
gift.
keeps them right in their flow. And we're in and out, and
we keep really short, we try to have small margins.
And we take the kids sometimes, during spring break, we're going to bring the whole kids here for the whole week, and they still have friends here. So so when we can, we travel as a family, and we're going to do a speaking event next weekend, and we're going to drive and take the kids to that. So sometimes when it works out, we'll all go together. But I don't know, our schedule is definitely a unique one, but I love what we get to do. And I love how much we're able to do from home, so that when we're home, it's I feel like we have a lot of availability and accessibility for the kids. I can take them to school, pick them up from school. We can be at all their stuff. The work we do is flexible. Our writing and social media and different things that we do from home is flexible. And then when we're not there, they've got somebody that is just great at helping them get all the places they need to go. So it's a unique life. But it's really fulfilling for us to get to do what we do, and to get to feel like we've got so many friends in 2 places that we really have 2 homes, and so it's been a gift.
You put a lot of your life on the internet too. I mean, there's parts of your life that people get to experience with you, and the road trips. So every once in a while, I'll see you guys putting a video up or a photo up of a road trip, which is special because you can go back and kind of have those memories. I always wonder what my dad and mom would, if they had cell phones back then, this whole part of my life would be now living in cyberspace, which is interesting concept. I think to some degree I would like that, but there's other parts of me that are
glad to have the privacy.
Could never run for president.
Exactly. Right. Well, I could never run for sure, just with stuff on YouTube videos, already. But we try to find that tension, recognize the tension of wanting to share some memories with the kids and have some of that for posterity that we can look back on, but also protect their privacy too. And so as they get older, especially, to be really mindful of hey, what do you think about
Pastors'
this?
kids have no privacy. I'm sorry.
I know. We try.
The most embarrassing parts of my life are sermon illustrations.
This is the truth.
It is.
Yeah. I'm sorry, boys. I'll pay for your future therapy. I'm so sorry for some of the stories I've shared.
We do ask them. We're like, can we use this? I recently spoke to our youth group. I volunteer with the 9th grade girls in our youth group at church. And they said, hey, we're doing a relationship series, and we want you to talk about finding the one, and does the one exist, and all that kind of thing. And I actually, Connor, our first one goes to a separate youth group, but Dave had him come to watch me, and even our littles came too. And then Connor, the one who's a 9th grader who's in the youth group, I told him what I was going to talk about, but I gave him this big shout out and was like, if you don't know Connor, get to know Connor.
He's awesome.
I'm like, he is awesome. He took it in stride, but I thought, man, I did the very thing that I said I wouldn't do, with
It's hard when you're on stage not to do that. I've done the same thing to one of our interns here. Well, I'm not going to name him anymore. Yeah. Because it's just too easy of a punchline when you're on stage. And it's going to bring a laugh because it just kind of lightens the mood because everyone wants to know that there's a single person at a marriage conference. Yes. I don't know, Wes. Sorry, buddy.
He's a good sport.
He's a great sport. That's part of the reason. It's because he's so happy about it that it's kind of funny. But yes, calling your son out in the middle of that would be probably.
He took it well.
He probably loved it too. It's
yes.
Oh yeah, I'm saying
he likes it.
Yeah.
Our oldest one would not have taken it as well.
No,
he's
I think you
more
have to know
uptight.
your kids' personalities. No, Cooper literally would have been like,
Mom, what in the world?
What in the world?
But Connor's like, "Good, that's cool. Thanks, Mom."
he joked about it, and it was
They're
funny.
all different.
They are.
We had a birthday party for Ashley last night. A bunch of people gathered at a restaurant to celebrate Ashley.
It was so sweet and fun.
Shout out to Israel and Holly for the hat.
I know.
It's one of the gifts from last night.
Yeah, she's wearing a gift.
But there was a conversation that we had amongst some of the couples about DoorDash. Do you guys DoorDash?
Yes, we actually did with Panda Express the other day. That was DoorDash. Yes.
It was cold, but
So-
it's normally
It was
warm.
cold. I
It's
had to give
normally
it a
warm.
4-star. Like I won't even. It really was a 2-star, but I didn't want to hurt the girl because I didn't know if it was the restaurant's fault or her fault. So I gave it a 4. I hope that was fair.
Well,
but
we were just
yeah.
talking about how, we DoorDash all the time. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. And it's ridiculous what you pay for. And I had to admit that the restaurant we were at last night, we've actually DoorDashed from there. And
Have
it's,
you?
And you're walking distance to it.
I was gonna say
Hold
you
on.
can walk to this place.
I know, but when it's cold outside,
Yes. And you don't want to get out.
and so we were talking about all these stories of DoorDash, and then one of my buddies who lives in Amarillo, they had like a snowstorm up there, and his son was home alone. He could drive. He was 16, but he just decided to DoorDash a Sonic shake,
Wow.
and I think it ended up costing like $15 for the Sonic shake. And he got home, and he said that the problem was the price, but it was also he knew his son was probably gaming, like with his headset with his hoodie on,
Yes.
and the poor guy that brought this shake
Yeah.
in the blistering cold on
my
treacherous
gosh.
roads was probably like, "Here's your shake," and he was probably like,
Yeah.
just
It's like Downton Abbey for a little kid. Like, yes, Carson, bring me my shake. You know,
Oh
and I
my
play my
gosh.
video game.
this is the
It's
world we
like,
live in with
I mean,
DoorDash. And we were talking about last night. For me, it's worth. I'll spend a little bit of extra money for the convenience of it.
Yeah.
To a point. I mean, like Chick-fil-A, going through the drive-through, paying like $11 more to have some person do the same thing. I don't know. I don't know if it's a thing for your kids, but my kids are. What are we DoorDashing tonight?
Yes. No, the
No.
kids. I mean, if Cooper knew he could do that, he would have done that.
Yeah, we haven't
So
revealed
he
that as
cannot
an
know
option. Once he
this.
discovers that, it's gonna be on.
No,
Because
because we do have 2 gamers in the house, and
Well, now you
yeah,
can DoorDash like groceries.
which I think is awesome.
Yeah, and
I hate going to the grocery.
Yes.
I bagged groceries when one of my first jobs. I've had a bunch of jobs. It makes me appreciate my job at EXO so much because,
Yes.
I've made pizzas, I've delivered pizzas.
you're like Kurt Warner.
That's
Yeah.
went from-
right.
I'm Kurt
That's
Warner,
right.
except not rich and famous. But yeah, same backstory. But you bagging groceries, and I remember thinking to myself as I bagged all those groceries, like, I can't wait to just get to the point where I don't have to bag groceries anymore. And guess what I do now? I bag
Because
groceries
Walmart.
every
Yeah.
time I go to the store.
Except
I'm like,
Publix. Like
I've got to go bag my own groceries.
in Georgia, we
I'm
have
good at it,
Publix.
though.
Have you heard of a
Uh-huh.
Publix? Okay.
Sure.
And they're like the Chick-fil-A of grocers, wouldn't you say? Like
Yeah.
where they truly, it's
My
their
pleasure.
It is
pleasure.
their
Yes.
pleasure.
When I had little babies, they would literally say, like, the kids are crying. They would hand them a snack and a sticker. And I was like, God bless these people. Like, I'm going to come and pay
Yeah.
more because you actually care about me. Walmart doesn't care about me. And I still will go to Walmart.
I still
It's
go.
terrible.
They know it's like an
They have
abusive
better
relationship.
prices.
It's like you can't escape. You're not going to go anywhere else. We're Walmart. I can treat you like trash, and you're going to come back tomorrow, and I do. Like,
Sucker.
I know. We're such suckers for it. I know.
We were talking last night. Just if the technology goes away, if internet goes down, electricity's out, most people won't know what to do. They won't
Yeah.
know how to.
How do I survive?
They'll just be hitting their phone over and over again,
yeah,
trying to
hey,
get.
wake up.
What
I'm
is it?
hungry.
I'm hungry. Start looking for squirrels to eat or something.
I know.
So I really do feel like this is a good season for y'all. And the new book, The Counterfeit Climax, is book, I don't know, 5 maybe with Exo Publishing.
Yeah.
If you include Think Like Jesus.
Who came up with it? I
And-
love that title.
Yes.
Who is it that came up with that
who
title?
was
Her name
that?
is Joni, and she's on the Exo Marriage team.
It-
She started with she started the path, and I've finished the run. I sprinted towards the exit of that door.
You're- it was the word climax.
the word climax
is all
came
you-
out of my mouth.
That's right.
And
that-
so did we're gonna have to bleep this out. So did Holy Orgasms was another
Hey,
title we this
don't
was
bleep
there
this
was no
out.
bad ideas
We're just
in
getting to the good
XO.
stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
That's actually the next book.
Holy Orgasms.
Yeah.
Doesn't.
That's
Polio.
holy.
Holy-O.
I know.
It sounds like a church cereal.
Church
Like a
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
Holios.
We're gonna have to on YouTube make sure this is not for kids. It's
This
gonna be
is
like
so bad.
uh,
Okay, sorry.
18 plus.
Uh,
But
we have said, well, that is one of the awkward parts of the job, I'll say, is like our parents and our children know that we talk about sex for a living, in essence, and they're
Yeah.
simultaneously proud of us and ashamed. Like, because they
Well,
don't.
it's true, and
It's just,
from an HR perspective, I'm always like, where's the line? Whenever you're part of the job is to come up with titles like, why is it awkward to say masturbation or
All the time.
whatever it is
Yeah.
you're talking about? That
Well, it is touchy.
Okay. Goodness.
That's my favorite masturbation joke. So I apologize to Eric, our producer, who's heard all. We did a whole
Eric's heard
episode
it all.
on masturbation, and I just went on like this random like really, just bad references, and I just said.
You said it's handy, or I can't remember.
Said
what
it's-
you
Oh
said.
man.
I was like,
I think when he
"Sweetie."
finally cut me off is when I said I just can't get a grip.
Oh, no.
He said
But
it's
you
too
know-
much.
bad.
It's too much, and it was, and it is again. And you feel free to edit it out.
I'm not editing out anything. This is good. But again, I have to figure out where the line is where, this is going to be helpful information for some people.
Yes.
Talking about it is very helpful to kind of get it out there. Most people won't talk about it. You guys do a great job of talking about it.
Thank you.
The counterfeit climax is a very much a bravo, because you did a great job of dealing with a difficult issues in sex and what happens whenever it goes wrong, whenever there's bad sides to sex. And it can. I mean, most people think of sex from a honeymoon stage, that beautiful period of time when you meet and you're getting to know one another. But there's also times where there's struggles in that area. When there's struggles in that area, it's not good. I mean, it's really challenging. So the counterfeit climax talks a lot about the issues that couples deal with, but you do it both together, which I like, because there's oftentimes a leaning towards just men, and men are the ones that struggle with issues, whether it's porn or whatever it is. But women actually, especially these days, have just as many struggles. Then it leads, as you get older, women deal with menopause and other things like that can create struggles in marriage. So, well done. So the feedback from the book, what's it been like?
It's actually been really good. I mean, we're just now getting that feedback because it released, not too long ago, and people saying that they're having conversations they've never had. They're having kind of epiphanies they never had. They never realized what was really holding them back. And also, we talk a lot about, like you mentioned, menopause. We talk about different just physiological things that can get in the way of a great sex life. I mean, that's one of the many things we talk about in there. And I think sometimes, people will go get help if they're having migraines all the time, or they'll go get help with any kind of other issue. But when it comes to like a sexual issue, there's all this shame kind of that people feel, and they think it's embarrassing, first of all, and they really don't know who to go to for help. And then they're like, well, maybe I can just like somehow get through it, or maybe this is just kind of my lot in life now. And so a lot of people who've read this have written us and said, I'm finally going to go see somebody about my hormonal imbalance, or I'm finally, going to get, I've had major mental illness, blocks, and I need to get on some medicine for that, and I mean, that's not a fix-all necessarily. It's usually multi-pronged in any kind of approach to healing, but that just makes us excited that, people know they're not alone. I mean, if anything, when they read this book, I want them to realize they're not doomed, that everybody goes through stuff, just like any part of your marriage. Sex doesn't look the same the entire marriage. It's going to look different, and that's okay. So, yeah.
Well said.
Yeah, but some of this is controversial. I mean, there's certain people that are okay with certain things in their sex life or whatever it is, but as believers, we should have a little bit of a standard when it comes to dealing with certain issues. And I think the church is either silent, or people kind of vacate all principles and they go towards, trying to consume things that are unhealthy in the relationship. But the truth is that if you're struggling out there, sometimes medicine is a fix.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are not just pills for guys, but there's other things even for women to help regulate that in their life. And so it's not always something that's insurmountable. Sometimes it's a quick, easy thing that you can address. Y'all did a good job of talking the whole gamut of sex and the dark side of it. So well done.
Thank you. Thanks for that.
Counterfeit Climax, available now,
Available
where
now.
books are sold.
Yes.
We're excited. We really are proud of it, just mostly because I think it can help couples have conversations that they've maybe never had. And communication is at the root of almost every issue related to sex. Like, you've got to be honest about all of it, what you like, what you don't, your hang-ups, your fears, your insecurities, your fantasies, like just all of it. And most couples, we find, don't really have those conversations. And so we hope, if nothing else, that the book will help people to kind of find some freedom of things that have held them back, false mindsets that have held them back, or baggage from their own past, and then guide them through some meaningful conversations with their spouse along these issues too.
It's great. I'm thinking about having to explain to my kids why I said masturbation on the Exopod show. One of the things that I think is remarkable about you guys is the amount of content you crank out. And I just listened to Donald Miller. He was talking about writing books. He said if you're writing a book, you have to spend at least 90 minutes to 2 hours a day writing for almost a year, 2 years in order to crank out a book. And it's not just like one of you is good at producing content. Both of you are good at producing content. So what's that rhythm for just getting to the point? Even like when I'm texting Dave, I'm writing like 2 sentences, and it's taking me probably 15 minutes to figure it out. And then he writes me back like a whole sheet of words. It's all really well done. It's like you just guys.
I just keep them ready to copy and paste. I have responses planned.
That
for
is
like,
not
if
always
Brent
true.
texts me today.
Even that's remarkable.
This is what
that
I'm
you can
gonna-
find the copy and
How am I-
place.
what I'm going to say.
But it's true. I mean, that's a gifting. It's something that obviously you guys are good at, but also something you have to work at as well and develop. So speak to how you create that content. What drives you?
Yeah. You want to start?
They're touching each other again.
Yeah.
Lots of touching.
Well, we enjoy it. I think that's part of it. I think if you're doing something you enjoy, it doesn't feel as much like work. And in any job, any kind of work you do, there's going to be certain things that you're like, I don't like this part as much. But as far as like most of what we do, and in particular the content creation, we really enjoy it. Like we enjoy the process of telling stories. We enjoy the process of kind of piecing things together and trying to make the overall story flow. I don't have that many skills. Like I say, I'm pretty good at trivia, and I can do a few impressions, and I type fast. And so typing fast is I'm so thankful I took that class in high school, because it's been something that's been helpful to just kind of be able to like quickly get a lot out and then go back and edit later. But we try to like just create a lot of content and then go back. Yeah. And the editing process is really kind of where the book takes shape. And we've blogged a lot, which gave us a head start.
Yeah.
Because that's how we started out, was writing, a shorter form of like 500 to 1,200 word stories and articles and different things. And so we got really comfortable doing that. And then we could go back and kind of revisit some of that content and try to find a way to like retell that story or repackage it and build on stuff we've already done. And because we created so much of that content for so long, it helped us think in terms of like writing chunks of content at once and then putting it all together. So it's been a journey. We didn't just start out writing books, and I didn't know that we ever would. I mean, I thought it'd be cool if we did, but it started small, and like most things, you start small and you build on it and you grow, and then God provides opportunities to do the same thing on a bigger scale. And Brent, you and the whole family here at XO has given us such a great platform and opportunity to do that, and we're just thrilled to get to do it.
We are. Yeah, as far as I think the blogging really helped. I know for us, we are the ones who answer our messages on Instagram and on the marriage page on Facebook and our emails. And I think because we do that, it keeps our kind of our hand on the pulse of like what's really going on in people's lives and what they need. And so that's been really inspirational in kind of what do we need to write more about, or what do we need to have, what topics do we need to address on the podcast. And so sometimes we will write blurbs, like we'll just take a topic, write a blurb of it, and then kind of keep it on our computer for when we can use it later. Mm-hmm. And also, I love researching stuff. So I geek out on whether it's like biblical research or just a topic research. And so sometimes I'll kind of put that over here, and then we'll find a way to use that. And you're the same way. You've done a lot of research throughout the years on different topics. And it just kind of comes together. And there's seasons where we're writing every single day, and then there's other seasons where we're not writing as much. I mean, we're writing something every day to some capacity, but Dave, his flow is a little different than mine. So Dave is more, he will just write all day, every day for 2 weeks and he'll have a book done. Yeah. Like he literally will. And for me, I like to take more of my time, and I have to.
That's why her parts are better.
I wake up. That's not true. That's not true. But it's just a different flow. I'll wake up in the morning, and I'll get, even though I'm not a morning person, as far as like being friendly, like I'm just not a morning person, I'm not awake yet, but my mind can write. Like I'm there, and I can get a lot done in 2 hours. and then I'll, kind of do whatever else I need to do. But I kind of have to come back to it, whereas you really like to plug on through. And then when we're doing books together, we'll each do our part. We'll bring it together. And then I used to teach English, so the English teacher in me is like going through with a fine-tooth comb and like, what have we repeated? Where are of course, all the little edits. And then, of course, we have a professional editor here at XO Publishing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the more eyes you have on things like written projects or projects of any kind, the better, because there's more, people going through and saying, okay, we're gonna chisel away at like what the best form of this is. And so, yeah.
Check them out on the Naked Marriage podcast. Check out the Counterfeit Climax. It's an awesome new book from them. And also the Naked Marriage, your very first book we did together, is still a groundbreaking, earth-shattering book. It's one of the best marriage books out there. So I know you guys have to get to the airport, but thank you all for being on the XO Pod Show.
Oh, it's our honor.
Thank you. Thanks for being awesome.